Dick, there are these amazing stories that don't often get told as much as they should, if at all, about pilots who are giving of their time, using airplanes in amazing ways, and coupled with the skills they already have to go out and make the world a little bit better place, day by day, month by month, and incident by incident. Can you tell us a little bit about your work in Haiti, currently being done courtesy of a SR-22?
I'm happy to. Thank you for having me. I began with an interest in flying the Bahamas. The SR-22 is not a bad plane for flying the Bahamas if you're not alarmed by the idea of a single-engine piston over large expanses of water. I'd been down there often enough with my family, and then on January 10th of 2010, Bahamas Habitat, Steve Merritt and John Armstrong posted and said, any willing pilot who will come down and help after this earthquake. The seaport in Port-au-Prince was destroyed, roads were destroyed, people were maimed. I thought, oh, I'm really willing, and I really do like airplane adventures, and off we go. So I loaded up the plane with what I knew they were going to need, orthopedic equipment and everything else I could think of. And we were staged out of Nassau. I flew down there and met really sweet, mostly Methodist missionaries. And they flew me down and back a couple of times. I had also been down and seen a little, and I thought, I could work here as a doctor. And so we switched religions. I started working with a Baptist missionary named Bill Tenhoff. He works in an urgent care center in Michigan and then flies down to Haiti every month. And I thought he was really accomplishing something that I hadn't seen much. He was putting pressure on one point repeatedly. And so many mission outfits seem to, they send a guy for a week and you treat somebody with some blood pressure medicine and then you come back in a year. And no medical records, and you don't really get to learn the language much, and you don't get too much exposure to what's going on. You don't really feel what you need to feel. And you don't accomplish what you should be able to. I thought, well, maybe I could take Bill Tenhoff's plan, and I talked to my partners and my family, and they all let me go. And I began to go to Haiti and all around different places, the North and South Peninsula, and finally cholera came. I used to be a cholera worker 30 years ago, and I knew how to treat cholera, and I thought Haiti had finally thrown a pitch I could hit. In November of 2010, just after the cholera epidemic started, I really loaded the plane up with cholera stuff. And we took off, and we were headed for Cap Haitian, but there had been riots because the UN, some of the UN workers actually brought cholera to Haiti, and so there were manifestations. That's what they call riots in Haiti. And they had burnt some tires on the airport, and so they closed the airport. And Cameron King, the beautiful little girl, she's a grown woman, but she seemed like my grandchild, who was running the FedEx back at Nassau now, sort of in mid-course directed me to, said, go to Port-au-Prince and we'll find some place for you to work. And I found my way to Rick Frechette, who runs a hospital called St. Damien's originally. It was a pediatric hospital, the only one in Haiti. And he had since expanded to St. Luke's because he had so many adults, all the parents of the children. Many of his staff were crushed in the earthquake. And so he had expanded the hospital, and I started working there. And we ran the cholera hospital there. Well, I did my bit. He ran the cholera hospital. And that's what I did for 6 months or so. And I thought, this is the best guy I've ever met, and I'm going to work with him if I can think of a reason to make him let me. So I said, Rick, you need a GI lab. I'm a gastroenterologist. And he said, I do? I said, yeah, you do. 45% of your patients have GI complaints when they are admitted, and the same 45% go out with pyrosis or dyspepsia, whatever that is. You don't know anything about them. You need a GI lab. I'll stack it up in my plane and bring it and run it. And he said, I do. Rick knows how to work a fella, and so that's what I did. And I found a Haitian doctor there, very promising, Natalie Colas, her name, C-O-L-A-S, and she agreed to become a GI fellow, a doctor in training. I've been going down there 1 week a month, and we fly whatever supplies we need and fly in. And it is a phenomenal way to use a small airplane. Cirrus is pretty fuel efficient. You can carry a surprising amount in the old G1 and G2 models. They go pretty fast. You can get down there without too much trouble there. And of course they have a parachute. It comes in handy once in a while. So that's how I've been working. I work clinics when I'm down there, street clinics we run, and a GI clinic. We work in the hospital. We run these little offshoot clinics, work down in the slums with those clinics. And a separate interview, we'll talk about a plane crash and a parachute moment that led to a talk at Copa's Migration, where I talked about the parachuting and talked about Haiti a good bit. And Luke Lyson, a really accomplished CFI, works with the Flight Academy, said, we ought to take a bunch of people. He had the skill set necessary to fly a long way and to do something in Haiti. And he said, yeah, we should go down there. And we'll raise money, and we'll take supplies, and we'll have a lot of Cirrus pilots involved in this project. And I said, oh, that's a great idea, Luke. We're never going to do that.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird X-Wind SE and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulation.com.
I thought, I'd been writing little notes as I went along on COPA, our website for Cirrus pilots, and I thought, I've worn these guys out with this. This is an airplane site, and this is a mission, and they're not really, there's a vague overlap. The plane is good, the piloting, the flying is good. Sometimes I show them pretty pictures of the Bahamas. Sometimes I show them pictures of dying Haitians, and I had some interest. I told him no. About 6 months later, Rick said, we're really broke. You know anybody with any money? I remember Luke. So I called him, and he sort of made this happen. He's got a Rolodex of Cirrus pilots. Some of those folks do have some money. And a lot of them had sort of come across him or come across me, and they thought, well, maybe this would be fun. And so that's what we did. We were trying to raise $50,000, and we got about halfway there, and really one of my favorite COPA guys anonymously said, if you can get to 50, I'll give you another 50.
Wow.
I thought, I need that guy to go to, he needs to meet Rick Frechette because he thinks he's getting frisked by me. Rick will just empty his pockets. I need that guy down there. So we got, anyway, we posted that on COPA, and sure enough, we got 105 altogether, I think. It was great.
Amazing.
And we got 14 pilots, 14 planes. And Barry Lerman came in his, a lot of the Cirrus guys, if they should sell their company, sometimes they buy an Eclipse. And Barry did, and so we had 14 Cirruses and an Eclipse. And July 1st, we all flew down. But we then put everybody on a bus, and I beat the daylights out of them because they were mostly staying just the one day. And they were going to see my GI lab above all. And then all the other stuff that we were doing, and it's quite a bit. We have a big hospital down in a slum, and so we went there, and the slum is really stark. And COPA actually had, right after the talk at M10, we sold some T-shirts for ludicrous amounts of money and wound up collecting $20,000 or $30,000, and we built houses. And so at the end of one year, I said, these are the houses you guys built. We showed them that, and we showed them the hospital, and I'm afraid I really ran them completely ragged. At any rate, we had a great trip, and everybody got home safely.
Over the past 2 decades, no resource has compiled as much expert-valued information about the sport plane world than the Sport Plane Resource Guide. Over 1,500 pages, hundreds of aircraft, dozens of how-tos and directories. All this and more will be coming to the sport aviation world soon with the new, all-electronic and updatable Sport Plane Resource Guide for your iPad, iPhone, Kindle, tablet, PC, or other electronic devices. Get your order in now. www.sportplane.com.
So it was really an example, I thought, of the power of an idea. I think Rick Frechette has said, just do the next right thing. We got a lot of people to do the next right thing. We got a lot of people to invest money and time and really to reach into and to sort of hold that process, which is like no other. To see Haiti or Port-au-Prince is to be touched. You can run from it because to be in the presence of that kind of pain and misery is almost unbearable. Haiti really, it's an unpleasant place to be. You can run from it, but you can't hide. So to have seen it will alter you a little. It doesn't have to alter people much. I'm proud of Luke Lyson, who really sort of leaned on me a little bit to do this. I'm proud of everybody else I worked with. I'm really proud of the people that went because they were airplane people. It wasn't their particular interest, and they really stepped up. So that's what we did, and that's what I continue to do. I'm going to keep going there until the money runs out or until Natalie Collin is fully certified. And then I will have left what I could leave, and then I think of something else to do, some other place to fly.
How can others in aviation learn more about what you're doing in Haiti, about the effort in Haiti overall, and more important, contribute to it?
The outfit that I work with Rick Frechette, is called stlukehaiti.org. So that's how you would get exposed. Luke Lyson and I have talked about going back down again in March, I guess, after Sun and Fun. And Luke is saying, let's see if we can get the money. If we can get the money, we can go. We're hoping that maybe we'll get some interest. And all flying is really, really fun. Mission-oriented flights, angel flights, they stretch you a little, and you really feel like a better guy for having done them. You get to the end and you think, I'm a better pilot than I was 12 hours ago. I'm a nicer guy. I just did something for somebody who really, really is grateful and appreciative. And I just feel like a better person. It's really fun. Haiti's just like that, except on a sort of a longer-term scale.
Dick, let's close this interview with something very valuable. You had mentioned at different points when we talked today, the support you've gotten, the fact that you're there doing amazing things, but there are people who have enabled you, who are empowering you, who are supporting you. Tell me about the support network.
My family has been terrific. You know, it's gone a week a month. It's a lot, and they put up with that. My partners have. I've never come across a group that has put up with this. You know, because for one thing, you know, we crashed a plane, and then I'll sit next to Charlie Gonzalez at lunch, and he has to hear me talk about that for the 400th time. Gary Mollengarden, who's got the biggest heart, Joe Luttrell, Murad Akhtamar, and now Jeff Jones, our youngest guy. They're answering my patients' phone calls. They're seeing people that I can't see. It's work. It's an effort. And so they've been a big help. And above all, I thank them.